Thank you very much for staying with us. And if you're just joining, welcome to TVC Breakfast. So more than 60% of Nigeria's population comprises the youth. President Bola Tinubu, in a nationwide address on Tuesday to mark the country's Independence Day, announced the convening of a national youth conference scheduled to span 30 days. The president says the 30-day Confab aims to bring together young people from across the nation to collectively devise solutions to issues such as education, employment, innovation, security, and social justice. He emphasized that the conference seeks to provide a platform for young Nigerians to voice their concerns and work together to find resolutions. This initiative by President Tinubu underscores his dedication to empowering Nigerian youth and addressing their urgent challenges.
I am pleased to announce the gathering of a national youth conference. This conference will be a platform to address the diverse challenges and opportunities confronting our young people, who constitute more than 60% of our population. It will provoke meaningful dialogue and empower our young people to participate actively in nation building by ensuring that their voices are heard in shaping the policies that impact their lives. We are creating a pathway for a brighter tomorrow. The 30-day Confab will unite young people nationwide to collaboratively develop solutions to issues such as education, employment, innovation, security, and social justice. The modality of this Confab and selection of delegates will be designed in close consultation with our young people through their representatives.
Joining us now via Zoom is President of the Yewa Wuri Youth Council, Abayomi Okeashiwaju. He has been joined by the founder, President of the Initiative for Discovery of Nigeria Heritage and Endowment. He's also the project coordinator of the National Policy Dialogue. Abdul Rahman Musa Ododo joins us from our Abuja studios. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on TVC Breakfast this morning. I begin with Mr. Abayomi Okeashiwaju. Thanks again for joining us. So the president has announced that a youth-centric summit will kick off pretty soon to span for 30 days. What are your thoughts?
All right. Thank you once again. And, I most sincerely thank the president for...
Kindly unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Carry on, please.
All right. All right. I said I most sincerely thank the president for...
All right. Let me put you on hold, Mr. Abayomi Okeashiwaju. Let's quickly come over to Abdul Rahman Musa Ododo so we try and, so we can hear you well. So what are your thoughts, Abdul Rahman Musa Ododo? What are your thoughts about the convening of this summit?
Yeah, thank you for having me once again. That's the very perceptible statement from Mr. President. That means
Carry on,
understood. That means he understood. He wants to listen to the heart of the youths. He wants to listen to the heart of the. But having said that, we must understand. I love the topic. It's a nation building. We must understand what a nation is and how you build a nation, so that one will inform us on how to invoke, just like the president said, a meaningful dialogue. And permit me to start from this glorious beginning. If you look at the president's speech, he started from the place that we started off as a nation, mentioning our founding father. They are great. Every generation, if you look at the evolution of every nation, in the evolution of every society, every generation must discover their own mission. They either fulfill it or betray it. The generation of our great founding father founded an independent country for us. They gifted to us an independent country, and this country that we don't have to go into war with our British, with the colonial master. And that is one of the greatest gifts they've ever bequeathed to us. But what is the greatest call and responsibility of our generation is to consciously create a nation from this country. You can have an independent can be given, just like the colonial master gave to us an independent, of course, from what I describe as meekness of wisdom of the great founding fathers. They gave us an independent, but independent can be given, but nations are not given. Nations are conscious creation. You don't because there's absolutely no way, no matter how it is, no matter how, if you like, bring an angel to our space called Nigeria now, there's absolutely no way you can foster a society to fragment and a divergent allegiance. There's no way a people can cultivate aspiration, incubate vision, and nurture a dream to fruition, except there is a commonality of purpose, and that is what is built. Nation building is building a common sense of purpose, a sense of shared destiny, a common imagination, a dream that everybody believes in and co-build to fruition. That is nation, and that is commonality of purpose, and that is what is germane. These are the kind of things we should do. We don't know the mind of the prayer of Mr. President, where I mean, how it's going to look like. But to invoke a meaningful conversation, it must be guided by a precept. It must be guided by a precept. You can have a knowledge. We can liken a nation. We can liken a country developing into becoming a nation like a house becoming a home. The knowledge in which we use to build a house is different from the knowledge you need. You need wisdom. You need knowledge to build a house, but you need wisdom to make that house a home. And that is where we are now. So that is where you need wisdom. And that's what we call it. In our organization, we call it dialogue with wisdom. Yes, how do you dialogue with wisdom? So the dialogue with wisdom will inform us how the modality of that dialogue is, so that it should not be like the other
your point is made. Yeah, your point is made. Let me go to Mr. Okiashiwaju. First and foremost, let's try to establish your audio. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Fantastic.
What about you?
Yeah, so I'd like to also get your opening statements, in this regard, because others are seeing it in a different light. When the president talked about this, he was referring to the fact that building the country in order to foster unity and talking about emphasizing national unity and social cohesion, saying that they are critical for economic stability, while also highlighting the significant role of young people in achieving this goal. So bringing the youth together for a conference to talk about education, agriculture, and other issues that are affecting the youth. How do you see it, first and foremost? Do you think that's the way to go?
All right. First, let me commend Mr. President for always thinking about the youth constituency. Recently, he has made so much interventions that has addressed the concerns of the youth. And having a national youth confab goes to speak to the fact that Mr. President is actually thinking about the future for us as youths. However, some of our concerns hope this will not go the route of the national confab that was held many years ago under the presidency of President Goodluck Jonathan, where implementation became a challenge. However, some of us believe that this current president has shown significantly that he has the political will to implement tough or tougher policy or decisions. So we want to believe that
go to our other guests. What you probably get maybe a talking device like an earpiece, so we can hear you clearly with a clearer microphone. So let me come to you, our guest in Abuja, Mr. Abdurrahman Ododo. The beautiful thing here is that others are seeing it in different lights, saying, come on, why do we have to do this? Daily Independent reported the reactions from others, saying, like NBF, saying that youth confab will be useless, that the president should implement the 2014 national confab, which has been lying fallow right there in the shelf. And it looks like we've not been talking about it. Do you think they've got a point there?
You know, I will like to answer that historically. If you don't know where you're coming from, you will never know where you're headed. So that I won't be speaking. I like to back my points with so that everybody listening, even the people that put on that, put up that will understand. You see, let's start from the beginning, and that is what convoked this conversation. Our independence. Nigeria is 64. Yes, let's go back to that 1st October. Hello? Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you, albeit faintly.
Can I go ahead?
Carry on, please.
Okay, yes. So let's go back to history. You said today, Nigeria marks its 64th in the anniversary yesterday, the independent anniversary. Let's go back to where we're coming from. I want to lay a historical fact to this so that we can support what Mr. President wanted to convoke. Is the Nigerian first Prime Minister, Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, of the speech declaring Nigerian independence said, and I quote, 1st October 1960, said, "Today's ceremony marks the culmination of a process which began 15 years ago, and it has now reached a happy and successful conclusion. It is with justifiable pride that we claim the achievement of our independence to be unparalleled in the annals of history." He went further to say that, and that this great country, which has now emerged without bitterness of bloodshed. Let me quickly corroborate that with the other great founding father, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. His reaction to the first coup, 15 January 1966, he said, and I quote, "Violence has never been an instrument used by us as founding father of Nigerian Republic to solve political problems. In the British tradition, we turned the colonial office into accepting our challenges for the demerit and merit of our case for self-government. After 6 constitutional conferences in 1953, 1954, 1957, 1958, 1959, 1960, the Great Britain considered us the right to assert our political independence from October 4th, 1960. None of the political party ever adopted violent means to gain our political freedom, and we are happy to claim that not a blood of the British or Nigerian blood was shed in the course of our national struggle for our place in the sun." So those founding, why this history is to let us know that yes, we have the one that President Goodluck, former President Goodluck, convoke, but it doesn't stop us from doing this. You can see the founding father has 6 constitutional conferences before they get it right. So let's listen to that quota. Though from our own research and from our research for over 30 years that we've been doing research for in this dimension of nation building, we will advise Mr. President that it must be a broad national conversation. The youth, very, very germane, that one is just be a subset to that broad national conversation, because what we are facing is a fundamental challenges, and fundamental challenges of life cannot be solved with the same state of consciousness that created it, or knowledge level that created it, meaning that we must explore the inner dimension of our intelligence. It must be a collective, we must harness the genius in our collective wisdom. So it must be a broad national conversation. In fact, what we are about, just like I said in my opening statement, every society must discover its own mission. They either fulfill or betray it. Our great founding father bequeathed a country for us. Ours is to consciously create, and an independence can be given, but nations are never given. They are product of a conscious statecraft. What we need is how do we convert a broad national dialogue that will tend to consciously create a new nation of our dream, which the youths are all talking about. That they want a nation is the human person. How do we create a society where human ingenuity can thrive? A new social order. That is what is needed.
All right, Mr. Musa Dodo, let's put you on hold, as well as Abayomi Okeashiwaju. Will come back after the break to continue. Stay with us.
Wake up in the morning, you wanna start your day, start with Kellogg's, You can beat your race, stay active and alert, start your day right.
Because Kellogg's is fortified with the essential vitamins and minerals you need to start your day right. With Kellogg's, you can reach your great.
The safest time is Kellogg's time.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Information is power, information is security, information is knowledge. On Labor Lens, we believe that working people around the world have real questions of their own. They want to know how the world of work operates, what it means to the employer of labor, how policies affect workers in the workplace. On Labor Lens, I ensure we engage effectively the organized labor, organized private sector, and government to get out of them information workers are in need of. I am Sharon Ijason, asking questions that make you get sense of the workplace.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty, erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
I'm Miriam Lunge. I'm a passionate environment advocate and a published author.
I am the founder of Celebration, a businesswoman, and a fashion icon.
I am a wealth coach and a real estate developer.
I am Amako Arakwe.
Thank you very much for joining us again on TVC Breakfast. So we've been speaking about the announcement by the president of the convening of a national youth conference. So members or delegates of this summit have not been announced. It's still in the works, but from what the president has said, this 30-day conference will come with a lot of breakthroughs. That's the desire of the government, and it is encouraging support and participation by those that will comprise this committee. We have joining us the president of the Yewa Wari Youth Council, Abayomi Okeashiwaju, is also being supported, so to speak, by the president of the Initiative for Discovery of Nigeria Heritage and Endowment, Abdul Rahman Musa Ododo. Thank you very much. He's also the project coordinator of the National Policy Dialogue. Let's quickly flip to Mr. Okeashiwaju now to speak some more about this need for a national Youth Summit Conference, as the president calls it, while some people are calling it a jamboree, and that it will go nowhere. What gives you the assurance that this will deliver on the expectations of the government?
All right, you can hear me clearly now. I will make my
submission
very brief.
Right.
Let me quickly establish the fact that the call for a national youth confab is in order. It's a good thing for the youth to be heard. Of course, the youth have been maximizing several forums to get to speak their minds, but bringing them under one roof by this current government will not be a bad idea. That's number one. Number two, some of us believe that this current president possesses the political will to implement the outcome of this youth confab, because he has done it before and we believe in his capacity to do it again. So the assumptions in the public space that this may just go down the drain without being implemented, I think we should do away with that. I believe that this current president, Bola Tinubu, will implement our the outcome of that confab. Number 3 is I'm looking at the duration of this youth confab. For me, I don't know about others. For me, 30 days is probably a long period of time to house young people and asking them to brainstorm or come up with ideas that will move the nation forward, especially the youth constituency. I think the number of days should be reduced from 30 days. Because some of the concerns of Nigerians is that we are about to spend so much again on a national dialogue. I think that of was it 2012 or 2014 of the national confab then, where so much was spent and at the end of the day we did not see the result. So instead of spending so much because of the period of the length of the dialogue, why can't we just read it from 30 days to probably 15, 7 days? Some of us have been part of dialogue, but that we didn't get to spend so much days under one before we come up with very salient and pragmatic steps that shape the future of the youth in our space. For example, I report in 2019, I was a member of the Education, Youth and Sport Work Group of the Transition Committee of President Abiodun, and some of the policies that are being implemented today in the Education Ministry, Youth and Sport, are some of the things that we penned down there. We didn't spend so much to do this. We were giving tax, we went our ways, we came back, harmonized and announced all the points, and at the end of the day, we have a document that the government would work with. So,
Mr. Okeashiwaju,
for me, is such a long period of time. So, if that can be reduced, I think this idea should indeed be bought by all concerned.
All right,
thank you.
Mr. Okeashiwaju, let me quickly ask you again, because, well, you referred to an experience within Ogun State, the enclave.
Yes.
Well, Ogun State is not an enclave, it's actually a very broad, territory. So you refer to Ogun State, your experience there in Ogun State, and then we are talking about the national confab this time round, and you know how large Nigeria is with diverse interests, diverse ethnic groups and tribes, etc. The president said they'll be looking at education to employment, innovation, security, social justice, etc. So do you feel that this can be done in less than 30 days? While others are even saying 30 days might even be smaller, be shorter. Why don't you even make it longer? But let's say 30 days should be fine. But you think 15 days can, be enough for everyone to agree on certain documents for a way forward in Nigeria?
All right. Let me present it this way. Actually, we can spend 6 months on this, but we don't need to meet under the same roof to have a discussion. That is a way of reducing cost for me. If you put all of us under the same roof for 30 days, it's going to incur more cost. But you know that we can do this virtually. Submit your report or submit your suggestions at first. Let's first ratify. Then we can have a dialogue where we all stay under one roof for probably 7 to 15 days. That will reduce cost. Then the things that we have sent in as suggestions, as ideas, can now be debated upon when we now see ourselves face to face. Then we can now streamline and have a fine document to be presented to the government. Rather than staying under the same roof for 30 days, of course, I won't use my money if they invited me anyway. It's the government's money. But nevertheless, we are complaining that the government is broke, Nigeria is broke, then we should think of how to reduce costs. That's my own concern. But if the country feels they are so rich that they can put everybody under the same roof for 30 days, feeding them, cost of accommodation and all that, well, no problem, let them go ahead. But I think that there are other innovative ways of addressing this before we now have the boot camp. You can call it the boot camp later. Then you can have as well address some of these issues as it comes by way of a virtual meeting, by way of submitting online. Okay, what then is the essence of Ministry of Innovation and all that when we cannot begin to think innovatively on how we can address our challenges rather than coming together under one roof again before we can discuss some of these things? So I believe that we can start this conversation in a virtual mode. Then when there is need for us to now have the boot camp, we will spend lesser days in the boot camp and we will have a coherent and vibrant document that can be submitted to the government for implementation. But note, for me, I think we should try and, as much as possible to reduce costs. Then secondly, government should have the political will to implement these policies so that we will not be seen as just we have wasted our manpower, wasted our time, and wasted our resources without getting a headway. That's my submission.
All right, let's put you on hold, Mr. Oke Asiwaju. Let's come over to Abdul Rahman Musa Ododo. So, how do we make the most of this? The president has, spoken about the need for this, but there are still concerns that the government should not make this, a selfish. Should not make this a selfish venture, and the government should not derail from the original intents of this youth conference. What are your thoughts on how we can make the most of this, out of this conference?
Yes, just like I said, these look at the topic we're dealing with, we said nation building. Nation building is not a field of expertise. So there's no specialty in this field.
See that somebody said I'm an expert in nation building? No. Nobody's an expert in nation building. When you want to build a nation, you must understand what the nation is. The spirit of the people. Is a collective consciousness of the people. Is the collective consciousness and aspiration of the people. Is beyond a geographical entity called Nigeria. That is what I said. The greatest challenges we face as a people since our founding father bequeathed to us this great entity called Nigeria is how do we consciously create a nation out of it? Nigeria is a nation, just like I used to put it in my word. Nigeria is a nation waiting to be born. So what we are about is even deeper than this. Just like I said that what you need to turn a house to a home, you need wisdom. To turn a house to a home is deeper than that. Even the youth conference, I can align to find an innovative way to do that, which can cut cost. It's very good. We have to be disciplined, fiscal discipline about that. But what I'm trying to say, that one is just going to be a subset in that original. We want to convey a national what we are asking and have written. Just immediately, and we'll be talking. Our organization have been talking about this for over 10 years. We'll be talking about it that Nigeria is at the pinnacle of the most significant evolutionary transition. If anybody that can discern time, how the evolution of society, you will perceive, you will know that Nigeria is at that precipice that it needs a conscious creation of what they call a nation. A nation, and permit me to quickly go so that anyone listening will understand what I mean by creating a nation. Just like I said, an independent can be given. The British gave us independence. You can go and have an independent. But to build a nation, you must first create it. Nations are created. If you do not consciously create one, you can never build any. What we are about is a nation building. People don't understand that you have to first create a nation. Nation is like a revelation. People see it from the inside. They know what they want. They are seeing that, and they consciously create that. Then before start building it, just like an architect delineate. Just like the person that owns a building. This is what I wanted of a building. Then an architect will now start delineating it on the paper. Then the building now goes. That is it. Even the human nature is like that. Even God, our Creator is like that. Is how it is. Because nation building is a principle that you must understand it. Just like the world we are living is governed by principles. You must understand. Nation building is not just what you run to. Great and unified nations do not happen by historical accident. It's never a happenstance. They are product of a conscious statecraft. That is why exceptional people and leaders that had transformed their society positively and altered the course of history for their generation had combined wisdom and power in the practice of statecraft. That is why we are advocating that let us bring wisdom to power. If you have political power, what we are faced with, it cannot just do just ordinary conference or just or political power. People have been in position of power. That is what I call in my meditation about this great entity Nigeria. I call it powerlessness of power. People have been in position of power, but yet Nigeria, all of us know the negative indices about Nigeria. I don't like it. I just like to focus on. I don't like to say much of that. I just like to focus on the way forward, on the solutions. That is what our organization has been doing for over 30 years. Part of our organization, we have an alternative development concept that is a 40 years conclusive research work that we had done. And just like immediately during when our dear Mr. President announced, and permit me to say that it is a very, very welcome idea, because that is how it goes. It must be through dialogue. It must be through dialogue. This great entity, just like I said, our founding father bequeathed to us this great entity, gifted to us this great entity called Nigeria, without bitterness of bloodshed. That is our genius. That is where we started from. If you don't know where you're coming from, you never know where you are headed. Dialogue. They said, those great men said, they are going to give us a country, an independent country, without war. And they did that through dialogue. So dialogue is the way. So Mr. President is just on point. So what we needed to do is that we are ready as an organization. In short, if I'm leaving today, we have submitted immediately. The president announced the first after the response to the end bad covenant. We submitted to Mr. President. We wrote to Mr. President that we are ready to bring all our research so that we can profile strategy modalities to that. So today we are going to submit another letter to the Mr. President that we are ready. Since he's calling for that dialogue again, no matter what, even if it is youth dialogue, yes, let that one be a subset of that broad. We call it broad national dialogue.
Can you hear me?
Let's dialogue with wisdom. Yes, I can hear you.
That's right. Very quickly, do you also support the 30-day time frame, or you think that that would be way too much? Just very quickly, just respond to that.
Yes, well, I support that time frame, but we can make it innovative. That, just like my other speaker said, that it must not be 30 days under one roof. They are online now, that everybody that everybody can do. Then before we now have little day, but going further than that, it has the broad national dialogue that I'm talking about. It will be more than even that 30 days. Just like I said, our founding father, where we're coming from, 15 years before they had dialogue with the British. 15 years, just like from our declaration from what I mean, from what I said, 15 years before. So
we need to expedite this conversation, Mr.
Get it right.
All right, Mr. Ododo, let me go to Ashiwaju. Despite these initiatives, some youth have actually expressed, skepticism about the inclusion in national policy making and economic programs. I also asked earlier about the diversity, and some are already feeling, how do you even get to us? How many youth will be there? How do you have how do we have equal representation in this national conference? What strategy, what structure do you think it should take, and how do you think they can get to the grassroots of those who represent the guys on the streets, the road union workers, the Proud Boys, the crazy guys on the street and all of that, those who are not really lettered, just pardon my language. I hope you understand the point I'm trying to make.
I clearly understand you. And for me too, that's a great concern. In fact, you actually read my mind, because the composition of the delegates for that conference is another key thing we need to look into. Currently, we have two ministers in the youth ministry, the substantive and the state. And for probably almost a year now that they've been in office, I'm not aware that these two great young minds have actually engaged the block of youth that we have in this country. I can't even say that some of our youth on the street that you just mentioned, they are different strata now, can mention the name of our youth ministers. So if it's that bad at that level, and I wonder what will be the composition of the, this youth dialogue that we are talking about, the delegates. Because truly, we must ensure that the major, what do I call it, the Gen Zs, now let me just be direct, the Gen Zs must be well represented. You see, this is a class of people who do not even understand our history, where we are coming from. Mr. Abdurrahman is giving us history of before the independence, how we've had conversations like this, how we've had dialogues like this, which led to our independence. Most of these are our current guys that I work closely with, the Gen Zs. They don't know this history. In fact, they do not care. All they want is a Nigeria that works. And they believe that their own idea should be put on the table and should be run with. So we need to see how we are going to involve this class of people in this dialogue, because their own input too is very germane. That's why I said 30 days for me may just be probably a longer period of time. But if we can begin to have this conversation virtually, online. You will receive the input of these people, then you can sieve them, and of course, harmonize the ones that looks the same and bring them together in a very, articulate format. Then we can now come under one roof as a, in a boot camp format and now have the discussion. So it's very important that every strata of the society, as far as the youth constituency is concerned, is considered when bringing together the delegate for this confab, so that some people will not feel that they have been isolated or they have been marginalized. So everybody must be brought together under one roof, that is representing these different strata of the society, especially as the youth, as far as the youth constituency is concerned. And please permit me to also use this period to charge our youth ministers. We have 2 of them. They need to come out more. We've been having protests. The youth have been organizing protests. We've not heard from them speak to us the way they should have done. And even after pre, during, and post the protest, they should be more vocal, they should be more vibrant, they should be more engaging. Mr. President cannot do this alone. People are seeing Mr. President as probably because his age is far from the youth, but yet he's doing so much. And that's why he has so many youths around him. The youths around him need to start coming up strongly to speak the mind of the president, to represent the president well to the youths and pass our message back to the president. They are the bridge between the youth and the president.
Let me also quickly ask. Right, apologies for the interruption. We've run out of time. We have about 2 minutes thereabout to share between you and your co-analyst. So in terms of where we go from here, you've spoken just now about the protests that have been on record in the country of late. How we can move on from now, that's the issue now, in terms of the need for political support, political education on the part of the youth. Do you see that as, part of the deliverables that we will get through this intervention by the president?
Yes, political education is key. Sensitization is key. We need to tell our people where we are coming from, especially the younger folks now. Where we are coming from, where we are, then we can seek inputs from them on where we are going to. Because they are the future leaders, they're the one that will run this country in the future. So let us get their input. But meanwhile, it's also very important that our stakeholders, I'm even talking to myself now, I'm talking to Mr. Abdurrahman, I'm talking to every other youth stakeholders out there, youth leaders out there, that they should do so much more by engaging the younger folks in a manner that will not aggravate them, because they get angry easily. You must know them. So you must know how to engage them, tell them where we are coming from, educate them properly. And that's why I'm still insisting that the youth ministry needs to really do so much more so that we can engage these people. Right. Tell them where we are coming from, educate them, then get their inputs and show them that truly their input is key and can be implemented. Because if you do not show to them that you take them so seriously, they will also not take you seriously.
Absolutely.
I think let me submit for that.
Right, Mr. Musta Abdurrahman in Abuja, let me quickly ask you, and this will be your final thoughts on, fine, we've always had, different conferences, we've always convened, converged on different locations and all of that. But this time round, we are most likely to be having youth confab. We have all of the youth represented and all of that, and they came out with a policy document. They came out with recommendation for this administration for it to implement. We've been talking about the National Confab 2014, and then looks like we've not really done much, or maybe anything significant to reflect the recommendations therefrom. What do you think this administration can do when they are done, if eventually we have them all together, the results, the recommendations? Are you optimistic that it might be implemented and they will definitely come up with something that is quite cogent for this administration to see reasons to bring on board?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, carry on quickly.
Yes, I'm very, very optimistic that Mr. President will implement that. Why do I say so? Because I don't think he will let this country of ours, collapse in his head. No leader will let that. So he will have it, just like I used to say every time, that a nation need to be fathered. Nigeria is a nation waiting to be born, and it needs to be fathered. And we are calling him that he must, and that nature that God has put him in this position, and it transcends more than just a political position. Nigeria needs to be fathered by a person, and he must take the lead here. And we trust that he's going to do it. He's going to implement it, but he must do it. It's not just to be. We don't want it to be just like the other one, meaning that look at the other conversation that haven't have a head. There must be a precision guide. He must be guided by because you don't convoy a committee or a conference and you think that they will come up with solution. Solution had been done, just like that's what I said ours. Some people had done. Let him look at organizations that had done years of research, and that one will be a guide. For superior knowledge will guide that conversation, so that the outcome will be tailored to they will be guided by universal principle that will be beneficial to all and sundry. And we will have a great nation that we can all call our own. Thank you.
Abdul Rahman Musa Ododo, thank you very much for speaking with us on TVC Breakfast. We also thank Bayomi Okashiwaju. Thanks to you both for your contributions on the program. Finally, on the show, if you had to pump fuel, the fuel you buy yourself, how many liters would you be able to refill? 100 liters or less? This time, we didn't go to the streets.